Welcome to St. Lucie County's Environmental Resources Department Guided Nature Programs Virtual Edition. Hello and welcome to Birding 101. This program is designed to help get you started birding from easy and simple guided experience to help you figure out what you need and how and where to get started. Let's go. This is for everyone who's wanted to start birding but wasn't sure how to get started. This program is designed to give you some general information in terms of where, how, what to do. The most important thing is to get out there and don't feel overwhelmed, and we want to show you how. So with Birding 101, let's talk about equipment that you could use for that, what your comfort level is, maybe what your need level is starting out. There's no hard and fast rule for what you should have to go birding. Many people start just simply with a pair of binoculars. But as you work your way through the hobby and you begin to find and ID more birds, you may want to try to use some of the available equipment and information that's out there. I brought my smartphone out here because we want to talk about different formats or physical forms of field guides that you can invest in. Now, field guides come, of course, in two formats, the electronic format and the paperback. If you're selecting and going with the electronic format, and you can certainly do that, there are a couple of considerations. Now, they are organized the same way that the paperback or hardback field guides are organized, so that's not the real differences. The differences, of course, are in how you use them. Recall that on a smartphone, you might have the easy use to call up and dial up images, sounds, and a lot of other information. And they may be easier to use for people who are really inclined to get an app open, leave it open, and then consult it. It does have a few drawbacks, and that is batteries can get worn down very quickly. In inclement weather, such as mist or light rain, it's a hazard to use them, so they may not be accessible to you. And if you transfer phones, the app, if they purchased it, because some are free and some are for purchase only, they may not transfer and you may have to repurchase your particular app again. So they do have advantages and disadvantages. It just is a matter of what you like and what's handy for you. So the emphasis that an illustrator uses is certain colors, certain feather patterns. Certain illustrators will put emphasis also on bare spots of flesh, let's say on the face or around a bird's bill. They'll also make sure that the colorization goes toward the feet or any other feature of the bird that helps you distinguish it from another species of bird. Photographers, on the other hand, they give you that very, very realistic in the field look. Between the two of them, they try to give you information which helps you to ID a bird. Photographers often do a very good job of showing the difference between a male and a female, and then also an immature bird who hasn't grown its full feathers in yet, and how it looks relative to the adults of its species. So each of these has advantages between the two of them. I recommend using one like this because for young birders, children, and novice birders who are just taking up as an occasional hobby, this works very well actually. Once you have learned a little bit more about species and you feel more comfortable, using a full-scale field guide might be what you want. So you have the choice and the luxury between by taxonomy and by color, and then of course a physical field guide you hold in your hand versus the phone app that you use with your phone. Phone apps have a disadvantage. You can wear that battery down and this one will never go away. These are also guide options, and they're smaller, they're lighter, they're very thin, they fold out nicely, and they're laminated. So they do have some advantages. Let's start with this side. This one is Raptors of Eastern North America, so it is like your field guide of birds of North America, so to speak. And it has a great abundance of species in here. It may not have every single species, but it has a good amount of them, the more commonly seen one anyway. And it is two-sided. The advantages of these is that they tend to have a pretty good range generally, even for areas like Florida. So they're lightweight to use. This one is a Florida specific, as is this one. So let's open them up and compare them. You'll notice that there is a heavy emphasis on wading birds and shorebirds, and in Florida that's a very normal thing to see. You'll notice that some of them have similar birds, some of them list slightly different species. That's all right because they're laid out in different areas, regional areas of Florida. And then of course on the back, they'll have other species of birds like a few raptors, and then also what many people refer to as a songbird or a passerine. So these are not a bad guide to have, something handy that you can stick in your backpack. They don't weigh very much, they're laminated, and so they're a fairly good option. Keep in mind though that they are limited and they don't show the great diversity of species that even these two guides would show you. But they are a good option. Prices for these types of field guides varies a bit. I've seen them priced regionally between, I believe, $8 and maybe $12 for these. This one I believe was $15, and this one's a little bit higher up in the $40 range. So you have some options on what you purchase and the format that you purchase them in. This is a field checklist. It's different from the field guides. And how does it differ? Well, for one thing, it's prepared usually by local Audubon societies, chapters. Now, it's not always the case that they'll do them, but they often always have one. If you're traveling around Florida or you're traveling to another state, you can often go to that society's website, download a regional checklist, and have it. So why do you need a checklist? Why even use one? They're a great tool to help you learn which birds are in the region you are birding in. For example, this one's prepared by the St. Lucie Audubon Society. And they have them on their website and you can download them. And what they do is they prepare a checklist of all the birds that are definitely known in the region. And so for St. Lucie County, all of these species that you see on their checklist occur in St. Lucie County or have occurred in St. Lucie County. That includes the very commonly seen ones, the rarer ones, and the oh my goodness, I've almost never seen that ones. What's great about a checklist like this is that they annotate seen rarely, seen in winter, spring, and often many of the checklist preparers will do that to help users understand what they're seeing so that you don't mistake what you're seeing, and it helps you identify really what you're seeing. Another good use of a checklist is that if you've got one for a region, let's say you're going to bird here in St. Lucie, and you've got the prepared checklist, you can easily go to a birding field guide and match the names here to the taxonomy names here. And the reason that this is useful and helpful is because it lets you see the written names of what you know you're going to see, and then you can practice and cheat by going through here and looking at the species and reading a little bit about them. So it helps you familiarize prior to going out in the field and between when you're out in the field. And it helps you to familiarize what's in here, translate it to here, to help you ID those birds, because after all, for many of us, that's what the goal is. We want to see them, but we also want to know what we're seeing and hearing. This is perhaps the juicy part that most people want to really talk about, and that's using binoculars. There's no hard and fast rules for binoculars. It really is recommended that you use what is comfortable. You can always work up later to getting the Hubble telescope and the large sized objects too to do birding, but for starting out and to getting you comfortable and learning how to do that, a smaller is always better. So let's start with some of these. This is a very, very basic pair. It's probably got maybe the magnification of 6 to 8 times. It's a very simple, basic thing. Children could use them. They're small, they're lightweight, they're easy to use. They'll give you a little bit of magnification, and they're not too hard to orient. They're very simple. There's no focus here. The focus is all of here, but they're lightweight and you can easily take them out and deploy them. And these are great for teaching children how to use them. The next step up would be also a small compact pair like this. This one has a magnification of 10 by 25, which means that it's got a magnification of 10 times relative to the object you're looking at. So if I'm looking at the tree behind me, or in front of me rather, I can get 10 times magnification to get an object on that tree or part of that tree. The 25 part is the size of the lens. In other words, it has a measurement to allow light in. And what that means is as you're looking at an object further and further away, it can become, as you try to focus it, darker. But the larger that value, the more light is let in, and as you look at something further away, it won't appear too dark or too out of focus either. What most people end up getting it and using, and it's something that I personally like to use, is a mid-range. And it's something this size. I've put a strap on it to make it easier. You may find that when you step up from the small micro sets like this into a set like this, they're a little bit heavier, and the strain on your back and neck, you'll feel that here. So I've gotten a strap that goes around my body to take the strain off. Now we're looking at a magnification of 10 by 42. You say that they're waterproof, but I want to caution you to be very careful with that. So this has a good range. It has a focus wheel here and here, so it will get you pretty good distance values, and it will also do a fair job of something that's near. In other words, something that's near, but not so near that you can see it really clearly, and a little bit of magnification will help you. And so a good medium range is one like this that can help you see in the intermediate range. Now the big guy that people are always interested in and they want to rush out and go get is a spotting scope. And a spotting scope isn't for everybody, but if you do decide to get one, I would say use binoculars first, get your experience with binoculars, and then try one. And then try one that's very easy to put together, easy to port with you because you have to carry it in the field if you're going around places, and that has a fair magnification. This one, I believe, has 20 to 60 magnification power, and you can get it here, focus here and here. So it's got some good power and it's got some good range. It's very lightweight. It's good for starting out once you've gotten binoculars and you want to add that to it. So let's talk about the basic anatomy of binoculars. So here's the lenses that you'll be viewing out of and the lenses you'll be looking into. The binoculars all have a feature which allows the lenses to be stationary and positioned according to the shape of your face, the bridge of your nose, and how far your eyes are set apart, so that when you're looking in, you don't get vision in one of the lenses but not the other. So first adjust here. Then you'll adjust this focus wheel here, and this is really based upon the power of your individual vision. So if you are a prescription eyeglass lens wearer, you may be able to have to adjust it differently if you wear your eyeglasses or if you're looking without them. So this will actually be adjusted for a more permanent view, clarity of view for your eye. These are caps that you can adjust outward, and many people find them very, very useful. They can give you a little bit of shading when the sun is bright coming down. It'll give you a little bit of glare proofing there. Also, it helps you to keep proper distance away from the lenses themselves. If your eyelashes are touching a lens, you're much too close. So people can use this whether they are looking with or without a lens, sunglasses or prescriptive lenses, or you have them on. Sometimes this barrier helps give people an idea of how close to get when they're first using them. The next thing is, of course, this wheel here. And this is what you'll be adjusting when you have an object in view. So this wheel, this focus wheel, is really to help you get the clearer view. You've already adjusted per your vision type, so now you're going to adjust for an object that's closer in. So you'll adjust it to get the clear vision of a bird that's right here close to us. And then when a bird lands a distance away at a much further perch, you'll begin to refocus it again to get a nice clear view of an object that's further away. We do recommend that you use straps like this one, for example. You can get the over the neck strap or around the body strap. Both of them are good. I like this one particularly because it takes the strain off of the back of your neck. But these are basic features and how to use your binoculars. Make sure that your caps are always on them as you store them or you're not using them. And you may have a waterproof pair, but I'm going to just give you a cautionary that when it starts raining, make sure those caps are on, because you'll probably save the quality of your equipment much better that way. Now, so basic technique is, after you've got this adjusted, you'll bring up and you'll allow it to rest without getting too close, and then you will begin to focus. You might have to do a little bit of a readjustment there, and you're looking through and you can see your object. So setting it this way first, and then this way, and then this will be the one that you're mostly going to be working with out in the field. To summarize, here's what's some basic information for you to get started birding. You don't need a lot. You need a little bit to get started. And here are some helpful things. So we have for you recommendations on field guides, the use of a checklist, binoculars to get started with, and maybe a spotting scope if you're feeling comfortable. So that, along with packing what you need to go, good backpack, that's really what you need to get started. So you can start with a very little bit, what you're very comfortable with, and what feels good in your hands. If you find that you're out in the field and you're digging too much and you're trying to get things in and out and open them and close them, try trimming down and just taking the bare necessity. Maybe just the binoculars on a strap and maybe one checklist in your back pocket. Start small and then work your way up.